All right, here he is, the Vanilla Gorilla, Jason Witt. He'll be back in action on August the 6th at UFC Vegas 59 when he meets Josh Quinlan. Jason, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. I'm living a good life, so I ain't mad about it.
Yeah, I was actually looking at your Instagram before we started this interview, and I see you were in, it was Hawaii recently, right?
Yeah, Hawaii. My wife and I went to Hawaii a couple months ago. Yeah, we Hawaii's been kind of like my dream vacation. Okay, so like my wife's been there a couple times. We had a trip planned for Greece for our first anniversary, and that was April of 2020. So that obviously didn't happen. So Hawaii opened up because of COVID, and my wife's like, "Hey, if you'd want to go, that'd be cool. They're open. You know, everything's good to go." And I was like, "Absolutely." So I'd love to go. I tried to get a fight before that, but it didn't work out that way. But yeah, it'd be my dream vacation. It was definitely one of the greatest vacations I've ever had in my life, and I'll remember forever.
Outside of the company that you were with, what was your favorite part of that vacation?
Man, we did a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff I hated doing too. So I recently picked up the game of golf, which is a terrible sport. It's stupid. I hate it, but I absolutely love it. So to be able to play golf there was really cool. There's a lot of cool courses. Overlooking the ocean and just really, I think that's probably my second favorite part is enjoying that.
Very cool. So, how's your golf game evolving? I'm kind of a newbie to golf myself. My father and brother were always really good golfers, and I played basketball and football. I had no time for golf, but now that I'm a little bit older, I can't go play pickup football, and I feel like I'm going to die when I'm on the basketball court. So, golf it is. How is your game getting better?
I'm getting better. I really am. Like I spent a lot of time doing it. I put a simulator in my house and I have a putting green upstairs. I don't have any kids, so like I can kind of do whatever I want anytime I want. So I go to the driving range a lot. I play golf quite a bit. I'm still atrocious. Like I'm still not a great golfer. I'm getting better. Like I've been playing for maybe a year and a half now, right? And so not a lot. It's getting better. I can see myself getting better, but like I've been fighting for 15 years now, right? And I don't remember what it's like to be a white belt. I don't remember what it's like to be getting beat up every day. And I still lose rounds now and then, stuff like that. But like, I don't remember what it's like to just not know what you don't know. You use your ass whoop. And golf is kind of that way right now. I don't remember what it's like to learn a new skill as an adult. It's one of the hardest things to do. But I fell in love with it. I really enjoyed it. And like you said, it's kind of something you can do the rest of your life. My father-in-law and brother-in-law are both really good golfers. And, I see people like, saw Dustin Jacoby's Instagram the other day, and he's shooting like a 77. I'm like, fuck that guy. So it's fun to watch, and I enjoy doing it. But yeah, it's a hard sport, man. It really is. It's frustrating.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But it's one of those things too. When you hit that perfect shot, or at least a good shot, it keeps bringing you back. So I feel you there, man. Let's talk about the last time that we did see you in the octagon. Again, like I said earlier, it has been a little while. It was that loss to Phil Rowe, and honestly, I was watching it in my man cave, and you had a very good first round. I think you stuck to the game plan. And you did what you needed to do, and then obviously in the second round, things didn't go maybe as planned. Is just a case where you got caught here with this fight with Rowe?
Yeah, I mean, it really was. The game plan was obviously all of my game plans always to take him down and beat the shit out of him, just wear him out a little bit. But in this is a game of inches. The margin for error is extremely small, and I paid the price for that. I got caught with a couple shots that I couldn't recover from, and it really just. I mean, he didn't hit me hard. It wasn't like Barbarina hit me hard. I unfortunately remember those. Those were hard shots. But Phil Rowe just caught me in the right place, the right time, at his long ass range that was really hard to deal with. But yeah, it was just I just got caught and really couldn't deal with that. And in this sport, at this level of the game, you can't make those mistakes.
When you're in camp and you're preparing for someone that has a very long reach, like a Phil Rowe, what are some of the tactics and things that you can do to get inside of that reach and fight your fight?
Yeah, it's kind of like a Mike Tyson style in a sense. You know what I mean? Kind of bob and weave and just move yourself in. We do a lot of like stepping through, switching stances. A lot of level change really helps on a lot. And it really was hard to prepare for him. I had to train with like Joe Holmes and a couple other guys who are really long. James Krause really long. We got a couple other guys who are just 6'3" with long ass, and I hate all of them. But yeah, it was really difficult, but it's just a lot of just fitting in. You know what I mean? Like throw a punch and just try to get to the clinch. If I can clinch, I can take him down. If I can take him down, I can hold him down. And if I can hold him down, you can't really hit me very hard, so that works out for me. But obviously, that didn't work out too well, and I must have had a mental lapse in the middle of that and got caught.
Well, you move on to the next one, and I know the plan here is to get this win over Josh. I'm glad you mentioned Joseph Holmes, because I wanted to ask you about him. He's at Glory there from time to time, and he's got the longest. I think he's the tallest guy in the middleweight division, and he's got a super long reach. What is he like to have around the gym? Because I've only interviewed him, but he just seems like a really good dude.
He is. I absolutely hate the guy. He's just an awful no. He's one of the nicest, sweetest people there ever was to punch me in the face, honestly. He has really good boxing. He's super long. You don't see his punches coming. You know what I mean? Like most people kind of load up a little bit, and you don't see his punches loading. The first time I met him, we were sparring in big gloves, and he was like, "Hey man, you want to spar?" Like, yeah, sure. And the dude hits me with this 1-2 that I was like, "Where the fuck did that come from?" Like honestly, I had no idea what happened. But afterwards, we both shook hands. We both like super respectful. We just trained with each other, kept going and kept training. But yeah, he's one of the nicest, like most laid back people I've ever met. So he's super cool, super humble, and I enjoy training with him.
Yeah.
Until I get face, then I don't want to train him anymore.
And he's a pleasure to interview too. Really nice guy. Brandon Moreno is there at the gym as well, and he's got a big fight around the corner, the interim title against Kai Kara France. Break that one down for me. How do you see that fight going? I have to imagine you believe Brandon's going to get his hand raised.
100%. That kid is an absolute monster. Like, and I don't even just mean in like weight class. I just mean in general. The guy is a workhorse. I've seen him. We went out there for the last fight, for the Phil Rowe fight. We were out in Vegas, and that was kind of the first time I met him and saw him work with Krause and stuff like that. And the dude didn't get tired for an hour. And I mean, Krause put him through a mid-session that I'd go home and just like contemplate my life. So the kid doesn't get tired. He's a machine. He's in there drilling 30 minutes before. He's sweating before practice even starts. He drills super hard, drills like he fights. And man, I sparred him a couple of times, and the dude hit with an elbow that we don't throw elbows a lot, but he wears elbow pads and knee pads, and I didn't see it coming. And he hit me super hard. And for a 25er, that kid has power, and it's just he kind of shows the younger guys like, hey, this is what it takes to get to the top, and he really puts in that work, and it's really kind of inspiring. Even a veteran like myself, it's really inspiring to see.
Yeah, and Glory MMA just continues to be one of the best gyms out there. Who have been the main training partners for yourself for this camp? Has there been anyone new?
Not new. No, the newer people are kind of a little bit lower weight classes, stuff like that. But Julian Marquez is always a big component of my training camp. Trey Ogden's also always, we've been together 15 years. So, I mean, that'll never stop. We had a couple of guys like Nick Meck is a Division I wrestler who's extremely well. I trained with him quite a bit. Mikey England, I don't know if you ever heard of him. He's a phenomenal wrestler out of Missouri. He's a grinder. He really is. Just kind of putting in work with those guys. And then Dallas Jennings, I don't know if you know who Dallas Jennings is. He fought Josh Quinlan a couple fights ago, but before the whole suspension on last time. And so I kind of picked his brain about the Quinlan fight and what he likes and what he doesn't like and stuff like that. And so I've been training with him a little bit. We had a couple new guys who are a little bit newer pros that I've been training with, but just trying to put all those together to get good rounds in.
Must be nice to have someone in your corner that has fought him and kind of give you some tips. I got to imagine maybe even James Krause is kind of picking his brain to learn a little bit more about what it's like to be across the cage from Josh.
Yeah, he went 3 rounds, well, almost 3 rounds with him. He just got caught in the last round, and I think he tired out a little bit. But it's funny you mentioned Krause being like, oh, picking up a game plan, picking up this, and it's like Krause didn't do that for me. And I don't mean like he doesn't want to or he won't do it. He understands how I learn. He understands how I think. He understands if I overthink or underthink, you know what I mean? So like my game plan has never been like, hey, we need to do this, because we need to do this. I focus on that one thing, and then it's like, oh, if I fuck that up, I'm losing the fight. And that's kind of my mindset is. So he understands like, hey, you just go out and do what you do. Stay calm and do what you do. Like I had an Olympic weightlifting coach, a friend of mine, back in the day. And he would teach me every cue, everything I need to do to like pick up the bar, or like, we're doing snatches. He's like, okay, just do this, do this, do this. And I would overthink the shit out of it. And I couldn't pick up the bar off the ground pretty much, right? He's like, go away for 5 minutes, come back, pick up the bar and just lift the weight. I said, okay. I threw the bar over my head, right? Like I'm extremely stronger when I don't think about stuff. And so for Krause, he's like, hey man, fuck the game plan. Do what you need to do. You're athletic, you're strong, you're fast, you got great takedowns, you have great pressure. Like just do what you do. That's pretty much what I do.
This may be a silly question, but with so many fighters that are at Glory and the responsibilities that James has with everyone, do you still get a lot of one-on-one work with him when you're getting ready for camp, or is it pretty much always kind of like a team base?
No, I get once a week mid session with him. You know, either we like for this fight, we sat down, we spent one day, just 30 minutes, just him and I watching film, just talking, hey, this is what we like, this is what we don't like, this is what we need to do, go through here. And then I get a mid session with him we do 9:30 every Tuesday. So we do mid session, work on this, work on game plan, work on, hey, this is what we need to do, this is what you need to do to get better. Hey, you had this problem in the Phil Rowe fight, let's fix this. Okay, so I get sessions with him. I get sessions with Jason High as a coach. I get sessions with Austin Ford as a coach. So I get sessions with all the coaches, just mid sessions or grappling or whatever they are. So we kind of work with, you know, he's created an environment that has respect through everybody in the gym. So if you're not working with him, you're working with somebody else. And if you're not working with one of the coaches, there's so many guys that are like, hey, show up 30 minutes early and just ask for a mid session or ask for just like, hey, will you help me with this? And so the environment, the culture there, it really helps out a lot.
For sure. And we're still a couple of weeks away from August the 6th, but I got to say, man, you're looking pretty lean. What's the weight at right now?
Like 210. No, I'm just kidding. I've never seen 210 in my life. No. I don't walk around super heavy. I think I'm fluctuating like 187, 190 tops. So not super heavy, not super crazy. It's never a fun weight cut. Weight cutting is the worst thing in the entire world. That's why I should have been a professional golfer, because it would have been way better. More money, less weight cuts. Yeah, so it's not super crazy. I'll switch on my diet a little bit probably next week, just to kind of cut out just a little bit of stuff. I don't really got to like cut out too much to really lose weight, so it really doesn't hurt me too much. So 190 is usually kind of the top of, like, if I'm a fat ass, I'm a fat piece of shit, I might get to 195, 196. But you know, when I'm in camp and I'm working, it's hard to keep that weight that high.
Yeah, well, that's good for you, especially for that weight cut. I know a lot of welterweights would get as big as even 210 to cut down to 170. I used to go to Team Irish, which is Marcus Davis owned that gym, and he used to fight in the UFC at lightweight and welterweight. And man, he would get like 215 and then have to cut down to 170. I just don't know how some of you guys could do that.
It sounds terrible. Like, even when I was fighting at 55 or close to 55, I never even broke 190. Like, if I fight at 170, like, I used to walk around like 183, 185. So I'm not a big welterweight. I'm a muscular guy. I'm strong. I'm dense, but I'm not a broad-shouldered 6'3", welterweight. So yeah. I can't make 155 to save my life, even if I like cut off my limbs. So that's not an option. But 170 seems to fit pretty well with the energy levels and cut wise.
I want to ask you about a couple of welterweight fights. The title is around the corner. You got Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards. Usman's a heavy favorite, and he's really looking amazing right now as the champ. Some people think that he's even surpassed GSP as the best 170er of all time. I'm with you. I don't agree with that. Break this one down. Does Edwards have a chance to upset Usman, or is this going to be a case where Usman's just going to be too big, too strong?
Yeah, everybody has a chance, man. That's we were talking about earlier, the margin of error in the sport. Everybody has a chance. And Leon Edwards is good. He really is. He hasn't fought the level of competition in the past couple of years that Kamaru Usman has fought. And I know he's fighting other people, but like, Kamaru Usman is one of those guys that even as a champion, when he became a champion, I don't think he was like that great. You know what I mean? Like, he's a good fighter, but I don't think he was that great. And I think he's just continuing to get better over and over time. You know what I mean? Like, every fight you see him, he's gotten a lot better. I think he's still super young. I think he's still putting himself together. So I think I got Kamaru Usman in this fight. I think he's going to out-experience Leon Edwards in terms of just the past couple of years of who they fought and what they've done. So Kamaru Usman, I think he's just getting better. I think he has a great game plan. He's a very intelligent fighter, and he's just getting better.
He's talking about wanting to go up to 205 and compete there. I don't know if you've heard that, but that sounds a little wacky to me. Do you think that he could hang with those guys at 205?
Absolutely not a fucking chance. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, but you got to think about people like, oh, why don't you fight at 185? I'm like, cool. If I fight at 185, I'm fighting guys that are cutting from 220, 230. You know what I mean? Like, so if you move to 205, like what I think Anderson Silva fought at 205. What do you weigh? 204?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're fighting guys who are 240 walking around weight. Like 205 and 240 is a huge different weight. Like, unless you're on roids and jacked as all shit,
yeah,
that might be good. But I mean, you're fighting guys who are 240, and that's a huge difference. You're fighting guys who are way longer, way taller, way bigger. That's just a different problem. That's a different issue.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% there. One more fight I got to ask you about before we transition to Josh Quinlan, and it's a fight that was just announced: Khamzat Chimaev, Nate Diaz. And I got to be honest, man, I've always been a fan of the Diaz brothers just because I've met Nate twice and he was super cool to me. And I just love their kind of like, I don't give a F style. They're just true to themselves. But man, I don't like this matchup for him. Khamzat's a beast. Do you feel like this is just poor matchmaking by the UFC?
Man, never met either one of the Diaz brothers. So I heard Nate's cool. Nick's a little bit of a gangster. I don't know, what do you want to call it? But personally, just from watching them interviews and stuff like that, I respect what they've done in the game. I respect that they stay true to themselves, like you said. I'm not a fan of them. I don't know why. I just don't like them. It's not my style. It's not. I just don't agree with what they're doing. I don't agree with this fight at all. I think Khamzat Chimaev is going to run through him. You know what I mean? And Khamzat Chimaev, he fought Burns, and Burns gave him a good fight. He really did. But Burns was also fought for the title. He's fought multiple world-class fighters. And who's Nate Diaz fought in the last couple of years? Like, nobody. Like, I hate the fact that they don't fight anybody and still want to call out the champions of the world. Like, they just think that, like I realize they're superstars. They really are. They're superstars in the entire world inside of MMA. But like, you gotta beat somebody to get to the champ, and I don't think they've done that to be able to call people out. But I think Khamzat Chimaev I think he'll run through him no problem.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you're right. And talking about weight classes, I feel like Nate should really make it a point to stay lean as he can and fight at 55. I think he'd have a lot more success there than fighting these guys at 70. That 15-pound jump is significant. Let's talk about your fight, Josh Quinlan. He's 5-0. He's undefeated. Again, UFC Vegas 59. We did see him at Contender Series, and that ended in a no contest. But he looks the part. He looks like a tough fighter, but clearly not as much experience as yourself. So, do you feel like this is a case where you're just going to be too experienced, too well-rounded, and you're going to be able to implement your game plan against him?
I've watched quite a few of his fights. He really isn't that experienced. I don't really see anything special coming out of him. He's a tough fighter, and I think he's came out of shoebox. So, they've been fighting every day since they were, started fighting. But yeah, he seems like a very well-rounded fighter. I heard he's a pretty good wrestler, has a nice right hand, throws leg kicks pretty hard. I've talked to Dallas quite a few times about just, what we can do against him. But yeah, I think my experience level just out trumps that, especially I talked to Julian Marquez about, I don't want to say ring rust is real. Like, I don't believe it is. I think it's just, you got to get out there and do your thing. But those UFC jitters in your first UFC fight and coming after a long layoff, I think will play a factor in. And I think my experience and kind of my comfortability in there will definitely play in my favor.
Is this a fight too, where you just feel kind of that extra pressure to win just because of you being the veteran guy, more experienced? Like, on paper, I feel like you should be the favorite here. Do you feel that going into this one?
Not at all. It's never crossed my mind. I don't look at that shit. I don't really care about it. People could say you're favorite here and this, like look at Brian Barberina. I was pretty sure I was supposed to lose to him. You know what I mean? But I showed up that day and I put on the fight that I know I need to do to win. My favorites don't make shit. At the end of the day, it's who comes out, who shows up that night, and who puts in the work.
It's got to be nice if you can give this guy his first loss as a professional. Is that something that you're eagerly hoping to do so you can have that feather in your cap here?
It is nice. It's not something that's ever crossed my mind. Like, I don't give a shit if he's 5-0, 5-1, and just as long as he's not 6-0 against me. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to take his O. I'd like to beat him. I don't care if he's 5-0, 12-0, 19-0, 19-7. Doesn't matter to me. I will get my hand raised August 6th, and I just want to win the fight.
So ultimately, on August 6th, how does this fight end? Does it go the distance? Is this a decision victory, or are you getting him out of there?
Man, he's a tough kid. He really is. But I think I can grind him down quite a bit with my pressure, with my style. I can grind him out quite a bit. And I would say round 3, just kind of put him away.
All right. And as long as you're healthy, Jason, are you going to try and fight again in 2022?
Absolutely. I feel like it's been a long time since I fought in February, and it's been a minute. I wanted to get this fight like back in April, May. before I went on vacation, but didn't work out that way. But yeah, I'd love to get like a before Thanksgiving, before Christmas type of fight, that type of situation. That's kind of what I'm looking for. And I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Very cool, man. It's always great talking to you. Before I do let you go, I want to give you the floor. Tell people where they can follow you on social media. And if you have anyone to thank, the floor is yours.
Yeah, check me out on Instagram, _Vanilla Gorilla. Most of my social media is on that. I do have a Facebook, but it's everything I post is just on Instagram. I appreciate your time, man. Thanks for having me on again. It's always enjoy talking to you.